This is still Breakdance 101. We are tackling some of the very basics or the basic things that you need to get right. And today I am going to tackle global settings and then global styling because probably that should have been my very first thing to do, tackling the global styling, but we didn't do that. We did the headers first, so that is fine. But today let's get into global styling, and to do that I have a very local installation over here. It's clean. The only thing that we do have is Breakdance that has been installed, so when I go to the plugin you can see only Breakdance is over here, which is cool. All right, so how do you do global styling? The best way that I've seen that you should, like, the best way to actually do global styling is what I'm going to show you. And I have built at least, let's say, 30 Breakdance website, including everything that I've built with more blocks. So this is the best way that I have seen. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to pages, right? When you go to pages, if this is like your clean installation, you haven't done anything, you should see like two pages that are already created for you: your sample page and your privacy policy. With the sample page, I'm going to use that to set my global styling. So I'm just going to click here, right? And you're going to see a bunch of these things. You can actually like copy everything and then delete everything. So everything is gone. After that, let's update that. And then when update is done, we are going to do edit with Breakdance. All right, so when you do that, now like Breakdance has like an onboarding over here. We are going to say no, and from there, what I do most of the time is that I have created a Chrome extension called More Blocks Utility. So we are going to open More Blocks Utility. What we need from More Blocks Utility is global styling that I have already laid out, like things that you need to make your global styling really fast. So I'm going to trigger it. That is Control Shift U. So this one is over here. I say global style kit. I'm going to do copy, and I'm going to come over here and then paste it. All right, so this is a guide. This guide is going to help us so that we can see what we are actually doing, because Breakdance doesn't actually give you like something like this unless you go to add, you go to library, and I think you can search for UI kit. So this UI kit has something like this that you can use. So this is very similar to what I created. So if you want something that is from Breakdance itself, you can use this, but you need to create a page to actually like place this in for you to do that. So that is why I am using what I have created over here. It's just it's kind of like the same thing, but in a different way. All right, so let's start. What do we want to do first? First and foremost, we want to open our global styling. How do you get to that? You click on these three dots and then go to global settings. So global settings contains a lot of the things that you need to style right now before you start building your website. Do you have to do this before building any website? My answer might be yes, because you really do not want to not have things in place. You can start, because like sometimes when I'm building stuff, right, I do put some of the necessary stuff that I do need, like I do upload my fonts and other stuff like that, and afterwards I do go about building stuff and then adding things that I do want. So but let's just say that you want to do your global styling first. So we are going to do our color palette. So colors is what we do have over here, right? So within the colors, there are a few things. There's the brand, there's the tags, all of those things that you do have. They have been linked to everything over here. So everything over here is connected to these colors. So when we start making changes, they are going to reflect over here. All right, so let's start with branding. So branding colors over here. So these are our branding colors. As you can see, whilst we are changing, the branding color is also changing. All right, so that is our brand color, right? The next thing is our text color. How do you want your text to look? So mostly you want it to be like some dark grayish color, something around this spot. You can even bring it down a bit more. So you want something like this, right? So that is good. The next thing that you want to tackle is your heading. How do you want your heading to look? You can make it a bit more darker than your your text, so you can bring like all the way around this part. You don't want it to be like actual like black, you know. You want to make it like dark but not like too black. So this should be good. And then your links, so if you have like a different color for links, you can use that. Mostly people use blue, so if you want to stick with that, you can use blue. And the next thing will be our background color. So this is what our background will do. So this here is our background color, but as you keep changing, the background also affects whatever that we do have here. So this will be our background color. Let's say this, probably we just want like a kind of a white, right? I'm going to come here, I'm going to change this background color to something more grayish, so that we can see the color that so we have set up all our colors, like 1, 2, I think 5 colors, right? So that is the beginning of building your style guide or your global style or your global setting. So that's the first thing to do. After that, if you do want to add like other palettes, right, if you do want to add other stuff like new colors that you're going to use later, you can come here. Let's give this one like aqua, and then we can click on here, and then we can come here and then try and then put a color over here. So that is good. Those ones, if you want to connect them to this and you want to see them later, you can actually like do that. These wouldn't reflect on anything. So that is what this are. And then you can add, as I say, you can add more colors. Now they do have gradient. So if you click here, you can also add your own gradient colors. So you select this, make sure you come over here, color number 1 selected, come over here, and then you can do color number 2 by clicking on that. So after that, you can just rename this and give this a G42, you know. So that is your color. You can like keep adding as much as you want. So that is what these 2 things will do. This is how you set up your colors. If you want to add more colors, you can actually do that. So that is good. We are done with our colors. So let's close that. Let's come to buttons, right? So let's scroll down and get to the button section. So these are our buttons. All right, so buttons, there are 2 things that you can do here. You can set up your primary and secondary buttons. So if you do have a primary button that you're using in so many places, you can do that over here. So let's go in and see what we can do with this button itself. Let's drag this here, and then over here you do have like your size. For size, what you do have is you have like custom, you have small, you can see you have default, and then you have large, which becomes really huge. So whatever that you want. So let's leave this, let's say custom, right? And for custom, let's give this one like 25 all around. Let's change this one to like 35. Okay, I want 20. So 20, and then move there. Let's make this one 35, whatever that we want. This is actually bad. All right, this I'm doing something bad wrong here. 20 and then 20. So you can have like a button, you can like determine how you want the stuff to look like, and then for your background color, you can use this, or you can choose the colors that we just made, which is, let's say we want to use the link color for that. You see, so that is good, because now we set up our colors, we are using our colors to also do this. If you want to add an outline, you can just click on this to create an outline. It has limitations because you cannot set like different you can also like different corners and other stuff like that. It's mostly like a one fit all. So let's say the width, you want to make a width of, let's say 4, so that we can actually see it. All right, the next thing that you actually might want to do is probably do your typography. Since we haven't gotten to typography yet, we might not be able to select any saved typographies, right? So let's leave that for a minute, and then you come to like your corners. How do you want your corners to look like? You want them to be a square, as you can see. You want them to be a circle, or you want to do your own custom corners, right? We can do like 15, and we do have something like that. So that is pretty good. We don't have to do nothing else. The same thing can be done for the secondary. So for the secondary, you can style it the way that you want. You can come back and then make this one like 15 too. And yeah, you can also do like a size of, let's say, large. It becomes really huge. We don't really want that, so let's leave it like that. We can do our own like custom thing like we did. Let's say 20 pixels all around, and then on the left and right we give it 35, and then we go to the other side, we give it 35 too. So that is that for this particular one. All right, so the buttons are done. The next thing on the chopping block is your typography. And this is where you actually have to pay a bit of attention. All right, so for typography, if you want to use Google fonts, there are a ton of Google fonts over here that you can use. If you do not want to use Google fonts and you want to use your own font, what you can do is we can go back to preference, right? And let's save this before we do that. Click on these three dots and then we can go to preference. In the preference section, we can upload our own custom fonts. So click here, custom font, and then click over here and then give your custom fonts a name. So let's give this one like Clash, or let's give this one, I think Clash, right? Let's see whether we do have Clash, and then we can just click on add. After you've done that, you are given the option to upload or to use a CSS fallback, or you can even come here and then you can pull it from an external CSS, whatever way that you want to do it. So from here we can come to, I'm going to find font and then I'll be back. All right, so I do have some fonts here. These are not Clash, these are General Sans. So I'm going to use General Sans for whatever that I want to do. So for General Sans, what I want to pick is probably like a few fonts. You don't want to like upload fonts that you know you are not going to use. Upload fonts that you are going to use. So let's say we do want to use like a bold, right? Bold, you want Wolf, like you either want Wolf or Wolf 2. Wolf 2 probably works most of the time for me. So I'm going to choose Wolf 2 for bold, right? And then I might need a regular, also medium, right? Let's look for regular or medium. Medium. Okay, so medium here. I'm going to hold control, alt, and then I'm going to select this, add that, and general, I want to find regular. Okay, so regular is over here. So these are like the font that mostly I do go for, these three. So I'm just going to drag them in here, and that's good. And after that, you want to link them. So this is medium, so I'm going to come here. You can see that 500 is medium. I'm just going to select that. Now we want bold, so I'm just going to also select bold, and then for regular I am going to use the normal. So that is that. After that, you just click on save font. So we're done, right? We just close it. So back to working on our typography. So for typography, your heading font, I am going to choose Clash. My body font, I am going to choose Clash. And base size, we are not going to touch this today, so let's leave that for now. And also for ratio, we are not going to touch that for today. Let's leave that for now. And then we can come into the advanced. When you come into the advanced, you can keep like setting it more, like if you want to set up how your body font is going to look like, your heading for all of these things, because mostly when you do choose for heading fonts and body fonts, they apply to these unless you actually want to make some changes. All right, so let's work on, you see this is links, right? So this is our links. There's probably the only thing we might want to touch in the advanced. So I'm going to click on that, and then for color, what color do we want? It's already linked to our blue, which is good. So now what we want to do is, if we want to change the weight, so we can change the weight to probably like a 700, which is bold. We can also do medium, which is 500, which looks like that. And if we do not want an underline on our links, what we can do is we can go into typography, and then we can change the style to none, right? And then for color, we are not using any underline, so we can leave the color and everything like that. We can just let it go. So that is how you work on your links. As you can see, we do have our links over here. The next thing is, let's say you do want to have different typography for different scenarios. But before I even continue, as you can see, we do have these over here that we can also work on. So what I am going to do is, let's say we do want this one to have like a different size. Right now they are using the default breakdown size that were included, right? All right, so if we want to let them have different sizes, as I said, you can change them over here. We can make this one into like 96. You can see it is changing, but none of these things are responsive. So when I go in here and I change this one to tablet, it's not changing the size. When I go to mobile, it's the same big size that was initiated on the desktop. For you to mitigate that, there are different ways to do that. As I said, we are not going to use ratio because ratio can be one of the ways that you can use to mitigate whatever the scenario is, but we are going to use clamp functions, right? Clamp functions. All right, so let's remove this size, and then once again I am going to use the Chrome extension that I built, which is more blocks utility. So I'm going to open that. So when I open, there's a clamp generator over here, and for that, let's say we want this particular one to be 96 on desktop, and then for mobile we want it to be probably like a 46. So to do that, you can say that our minimum is 46, our maximum is 96, right? After that, you can just click on this, it will be copied, and then we can come here, go into advanced, go into our heading. On H1 we can change everything. We can click on this and then do custom, and then in custom we just paste what we just made. All right, so what we are going to do is we are going to change the breakpoint, and you can see that this is scaling down normally. So let's go up so we can see it. So you can see it scales down, everything is scaling down normally, scaling. So things are scaling proportionally. They are not just changing like size when you change the breakpoint. So clamp function is actually really important. So let's go back and then remove this. We're going to dive into that later on. So for more typography settings, now we do have presets, right? All right, so presets makes, like, if you do have your own sizes, you do not want to be using the H1 and H2 sizes. You want to do your own sizes. One way of making sure that that happens is by creating your own typography presets. So let's say we are over here. This is our global style. Our global style, the font size is 64 pixels, right? All right, so let's change that one to another 84, right? So 84 pixels. We are going to create a preset, right? So let's click on this and then click on add preset. In this preset, let's call it global, and then let's give it the size that we want 84. So mostly I do give it like that size, so let's say 84 pixels, and then we want it at, let's say, 500. So 84 pixels dash, and then mostly I just do add 500 to make sure I understand what the sizes are. So that being done, the next thing I'm going to do is to select my font family. So the font family is going to be the font that I uploaded, because that is what I want to use. After that, my font size, I'm going to click on this and then do custom. After I've done that, I'm going to open my Chrome extension, go into the clamp generator. I'm going to say that this on small screens, I want it to be, let's say, 36 pixels. On bigger screens, I want it to be 84 pixels. After that, I'm just going to click on copy. All right, so that is good. And then I'm going to come here and paste it. That is all. If I want to change the weight, I'm going to change the weight to that. If I want this to be a certain way, I can, let's say, make everything smaller or everything caps. If I want letter spacing, whatever that you want, you can do that over here. So we've created a preset called 48 pixels, right? That is the preset that we've created. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to come here, and then I'm going to click on presets. When I click on preset and I click on this drop down, you can see that what we just created shows up over here. I'm just going to select that. So that has been selected. So now when I start changing the size, you can see how it is scaling down. Can you see the scale down like that? Beautifully. So that is actually like really good. So that is how you create text preset that you can apply either to your H1s, or if you want to create your own presets that you're going to use later on, you can also create that. So let's say with this, right, we can still go into the front end and we have selected H1, but the H1 preset is not being applied. Why? Because when you come into the styling, we have applied a custom preset that we made specifically for this. So those are the two things. You can either use the preset over here that is attached to H1, or you can use the preset that is over here. But if you use the preset, the custom preset that you created, your H1 presets will not reflect on the text that you have applied it to. So that is how these things they work. So that is good. I think we have covered the maximum part when it comes to this typography. I'm going to leave a link down below for you to go and download the Chrome extension that you can use to create the clown function and also to copy the global style guide. All right, so that is good. The next thing over here is your forms, right? So this is our form, and for our form we can start dealing with things like the field. So let's say we want our field, the background, to be black, right? Okay, that is fine. We want our border to be, let's say 15 pixels, right? And we want this one to be 2 pixels width. And we want the color of that to be, let's say, this blue, right? All right, so that is actually good. You can also change things like the dash to whatever that you do actually want. Yeah, we're just making sure we can see that we're doing something. So when someone focuses here, what happens is that you can see that this one has changed to a pinky color. When you click on this, you can see that the color has changed to pinky. So if you want to also affect that, which is this focus, you can also do that over here. The next thing that we want to do is your pattern. How do you want your field to look like, the height or the pattern inside? So let's say if we give this one 40 pixels, you can see how big this is becoming. When we click on outside, it becomes like really huge. So this is how you also affect the height of your field and also add padding to it. So this is actually good. But when you do that, remember that your text is going to be like in a small space. We can't see what we're typing, but we're going to fix that. If something is required, what do you want to do? What color do you want to give it? Right now it has a default red. We can go in and change that to, let's say, a blue. So you can see, and we can come in and change the size to something that we can see, let's say 20 pixel. Yeah, so there's like 20 pixel. If you actually want to see like your required thing like that, you can also change where it has to be and other stuff like that. So those are things that are available over here. I'm going to remove that. Let's go here and then remove. Let's leave it like that. Let's leave it like that. You can go into like advanced, and advanced you do have like, if we did have radio and file input and then responsiveness, you can see like you can do like full width. Where do you want your full width to be at? You can say landscape or tablet mode or whatever that will fit your design. So you can make like wholesale changes here without having to create new styling for your phone when you place them in different places. So that is what this is about. So you can do that over here. Let's change our background to this white so we can actually see what is happening. All right, so that is good for the field. We can come to typography. So for typography, we can do label. With label, you can start like changing the size for your label. So if we come here and we make this like 34 pixels, you can see our label has changed. Your sub label, I think sub label might be for like radio buttons and other stuff like that. So let's add some radio buttons here, right? Let's add new field and change this one to, let's say, radio, and give this one let's call it name, and then give it name 1, and then duplicate, right? All right, so this is what we do have when we go into our field, our typography, and then we go into sub labels. I just want to see what this is changing. All right, so it changes then these items over here. So that is what your sub label is going to do. You can change the typography, whatever the color that you want to change, and so on and so forth. All right, so let's also make some changes so we can see actually what is happening, so that we know that we make changes. And we can go into values. Values is actually what, let's change this one to like a black, right? And then let's type in something here, and then I want to go back into typography, and then for values I want to change this one to a blue. So you can see, if you do want like if you do want things to change over here, if you do want like the color over here to change, you can do that going to typography and then values. I'm going to go back in here. I set placeholder was not going to change something, but I want to come here, go into advanced, and then I'm going to go into placeholder and say placeholder. All right, so this placeholder, let's go back into the field and then placeholder. Let's change this one to a blue. So that is how you do change the placeholder text. It is right here in your field section. You will be able to change that. So that is that. So we are now done with typography. We are not going to touch length because it doesn't really there's not much that we are going to do with that. So we are going to skip links. The next thing is you want to like do like your messages. If you do have like a message like thank you, error stuff, this is where you make your global changes. So if you want to do that from here, yeah, that's where you do that. And the next thing is your submit button. If you want to create like a global submit button style, if you want it to be different from your primary, you can do that. You can do like full width over here, and then you can come in and then you can make your own like style. You see, you can make your own style. You can do like your own outline and so forth and so on. So if you want like a different like design for this button, you can do globally, you can do it over here. And even when you come here, you can also style this one from this part too if you want to do that. But we are creating a global style, so we are making sure that we create a unified form that we can use in so many other places. All right, after that you do have other, and if you want to create steps, you can use that over here. We are not creating steps, so we are not going to touch that. All right, that is good. The next thing that we are going to tackle on is your container. So as you can see from this beginning all the way to that is our container. And with this, what we can do is we can come in here. Mostly when I am building a website, I do believe that the most 1440 is the best size that you can use. I don't know about people who be using 1200. I think 1200 is a bit too small. 1440 probably is the best if you want to do like a contain, because it can fit a lot of desktop and a lot of also laptops and make it more cleaner. So mostly I do use 1440. So 1440, and then you have like your vertical pattern. So let's give this one 300 so you can see. So your vertical pattern is your top and your bottom patterns. So most of the time I leave this one at 45. The reason why I leave this one at 45 is if let's say this has 45 and the next section also have 45, then we have a 90 pixel gap between the two sections. But when you do like 90, then you do have like 180 pixels gap between like each section, which is kind of OD, right? So mostly I don't do that. I leave that at 45 and I think that is fine. I don't leave at 45, but I put in 45 and I think that is fine. The next one is your horizontal pattern. Horizontal pattern. Over here, what we can do is also like the same thing. If let's say we give it 200, you can say it squishes it, but most of the time 20 pixels is good. When I get to mobile, I change this one to like 12 pixels because I've seen that 12 pixels is actually a good size too for like your mobile. It is not too close from the edge, it is not too far from the edge, so that is good. So that is our sections and our containers. Over here you can give like the gap between like columns. Let's make this one like 500. I think we already set like a gap here, right? Let's remove this. So column gap is actually for if you do have like columns already added to your thing. So let's make this one 40 pixels again. So column gap is not going to affect this, but it is going to affect when you add like columns and you do want like a gap. Let's say if we give this one 400, you can see this here, and then that is there, and then this is the gap in between. So that is what this is about. All right, so that is good. We can remove that unless you are doing like columns and you want like a defined one. You can do that from there. The next thing is like your code. If you do have CSS code that you want to add globally, you can add them over here. If you do have a JS script that you want to add, you can also add them over here. And the last but not the least is your transition duration. If you want to set a global transition duration, you can put either 300 or 400 pixels. So 300 or 400 millisecond for your transition duration. All right, so I have covered everything that is over here, except one or two things that are not things that I do use, and are things that I don't think you actually might use if you are following the kind of way that I did build this. So this is your global styling. That is all that there is to global styling. There's nothing else apart from this when it comes to like global styling for breakdance. And yeah, that is good. Hopefully you have learned one or two things. And as I said, I am going to leave a link to the Chrome extension that has the global style kit and also has the clam function generator. Both things are pretty impressive. They are going to help you speed up your workflow and other stuff like that. The name is Nyakon. Thank you for watching. I'm going to catch you on the next one.